Hey y'all, we're going to look at linear equations. This should be a little bit of a review, so I'm going to go kind of fast. You're welcome to pause the video to take notes and then continue on with the video, okay? So are these equations linear? And explain how you know. So the first one, let's take a look at these first and decide which ones are not linear, okay? So it looks like the second one is not linear because we have x squared and y squared variables. Do lines have x squared and y squared variables? No. Okay, so I can tell this is in the form y is equal to mx plus b, so this equation is linear. Okay, my x is not squared and my y is also not squared, so these are both to the first power. How about in the last equation, is the x to the first power and the y to the first power? X to the first power, y to the first power? Yes, this is also linear. So I can simplify this thing out and it's going to look like y equals mx plus b in the end. But the important thing is that my x is to the first power and my y is also to the first power. And I don't have anything extra, okay? So any extra variables. So lastly, I can see my x is to the first power, my y is to the first power, so this is also a linear equation, okay? Let's talk about different types of lines. We talked about this in basic student budget a little bit. We have vertical lines that cross over the x-axis, so this would be an x equals some number line, and the slope is undefined, okay? Next, we're going to have a horizontal line. This is a y is equal to a certain constant. The slope is 0, no slope. Okay. In an increasing line, so as x increases, y increases. So this slope is going to be some positive value. So when I have my equation, it's going to be y is equal to m, so a positive m times x plus b. And then decreasing, the slope is negative, which means we'll have negative mx plus b. All right, next up is forms of linear functions. So we already talked about this in class. We have slope-intercept, which is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is equal to the slope and the b value is your y-intercept value. Okay, it's a fancy form of slope point. So slope point itself is y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1, and where the parameters are m is equal to the slope and x1 y1 is equal to a point on the line. Lastly, we have standard form. Ax plus by minus c is equal to 0, or ax plus by is equal to c. This tells me nothing. So we can just move on from there. Okay? We're going to do a few examples. So find the slope of a line and interpret the slope. That first off, that contains the points 1, 2, and 5, -3. So how do we find slope from 2 points? Slope is the equation, the change in y over the change in x, which is y1 minus y2, or y2 minus y1 over x1 minus x2. Okay, so we're going to do x1, y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to substitute this in. The slope is equal to y1 is 2 minus -3 all over x1 is 1 minus 5. Make sure you lead with the same coordinating pair. So 2 Minus minus makes a plus, so 2 plus 3 over 1 minus 5, which is 5 over negative 4. Okay, basic student budget. This would mean that the slope is negative. It's decreasing by, so it decreases by $5 every 4 days. That's some budgeting right there. Decreasing $5 every 4 days. Okay. Graph and write the equation of line given the following information. We're going to use slope, point slope. So the line passes through the points 2, 3 and negative 4, 6. So in order to use point slope, I need a point and a slope. And it looks like I have 2 points and no slope. So how do I find the slope? Well, let's use our slope formula. The change in y over the change in x. Okay. So I'm going to take my first point, the 3 minus 6. So 3 minus 6 over 2 minus minus 4. So 2 minus minus 4, which is 3 minus 6 over 2 plus 4, giving me negative 3 over 6, which is negative 1/2, simplified. Dividing out 3 from the top and the bottom. All right, looks like I have a slope. You guys get to choose your point, whichever one you'd like to use. So I'll do them both. Okay. So let's use our point 2, 3 and our slope of negative 1/2. Okay, so we're going to get, this is my x1, y1. So I'm going to use the formula y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So y minus 3 is equal to the slope, m, negative 1/2 times x minus 2. That's one version of slope point. Let's do another. So if we use our second point, negative 4, 6, and our slope is still the same, negative 1/2. So we get y, x1, y1, minus 6 is equal to negative 1/2 times x plus 4. I would take either one of these. Okay. So from the point negative, what this says is from the point negative 4, 6, I am going to count my slope by negative 1/2. Number 3. The line is parallel to y is equal to 4x minus 1 and passes through the point 3, 2. So this is the old line, and our new line is parallel to it and passes through this new point 3, 2. So it looks like I have a point and I need a slope. How do I find the slope of two parallel lines? Well, if I have this line, y is equal to 4x minus 1, what do we know about the slope? Parallel lines have the same slope. So, what's the slope of the old line? The slope is 4, which means that the new line will also have the slope of 4. Okay, now I can write this equation in point slope because this line goes through the point 3, 2. So I'm going to label it x1, y1. I'm going to start with my point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. I get y minus 2, carefully use the y, is equal to 4 times x minus 3. And that's my equation in point slope. Let's say I want to simplify this into slope intercept. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. Just change it. Y minus 2 is equal to 4x minus 12. Add 2. We get y is equal to 4x minus 10. Okay, so slope intercept, slope point. Both are okay. All right, what do we know about perpendicular lines? Again, this is going to be our old line and our new point. We also need a slope for our new line. So perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if my slope is 4/1, the new slope will have the opposite sign. So this original line was positive 4x, so we're going to be -4, or negative, and then the numbers reciprocate. So the 1 becomes the numerator, and the 4 becomes the denominator. So I can see I have a new slope of -1/4. Okay, I'm going to write this in point slope. Y minus, this is x1, y1, plus 2, since it's a -2, it becomes a +2, times -1/4 times x minus 8. Distribute. Y plus 2 is equal to -1/4 x plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. And then I'm going to subtract my 2, giving me -1/4 x. That's it, plus 0. You can put the 0 if you want or not. This is slope intercept. This is slope point. Both are correct. Okay, that's a little review on linear equations. If you guys have questions, make sure we get them answered in class, or you come see me during one of my scheduled times. I hope you guys have a good evening.